Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to a soulmate snapshot. Now, if you saw yesterday's extended video, at the tail end of that one, I said the message came out for you to pay attention to your dreams. And I have to tell you that I received several notes overnight as people were waking up, and we're all in kind of different time zones and things. But as people were waking up to say, I had the wildest dream last night, and I believe no way did all of you see that that extended video. So if you sent me a note about your dreams and didn't see that, just be aware I already thought I was going to read about that today, and there's no chance that I was going to pass it up after this. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at what those dreams are all about, and really just kind of what you need to know about them, because and if you're not one of the people that sent me the notes, I get the sense it's not just last night, it's in general right now. You need to be paying attention to your dreams. It'll be a general reading for this collective as always, so if it resonates, maybe take a look at some of those other videos that have come out so far. Might be other good messages for you in there. And I hope if you have the opportunity, you can go ahead and subscribe. So we're going to go ahead and take a look, get things kind of started out to say, what is this energy that's going on around you right now? Because it feels heavy on the energetic side. Prosperity begins. Things are growing. So this is a lot of what we were seeing in yesterday's reading was what was coming your direction. So there's the Triumph card in the reverse, because you're not there yet. You're still going through it, and the dreams are going to be relevant to that. So prosperity is beginning. You have a lot of change that's coming your way right now. And we've seen that in like we did the Mercury retrograde reading yesterday. It was a good reading that had a good extended on it, that ended up with basically our starting point for today. And that was all about paying attention to your dreams, which have already started getting interesting for some of you. Okay, third eye chakra. So something is clogged up third eye chakra wise that's causing it to come out in your dreams, and it's giving you another opportunity to receive these messages that you might not be able to easily pick out from your meditation. And remember, if you saw those readings, there was a lot in there about your meditation, your prayer being a source of really good information for you. So there is a lot of abundance coming into you right now, but I feel like it really starts to, there's still something in the way, which is why we've got this Triumph card in the reverse. There's something that's still in the way, but it feels like it gets resolved toward the end of, we were saying toward the end of the Mercury retrograde, and the retrograde begins or ends at the beginning of 2024. So it's somewhere in there, around that time frame is when you should start coming out the other side, which is pretty typical for Mercury retrograde. But the other thing that's typical is that you get to resolve some things. And so that resolution is going to yield some of that prosperity and abundance that we see coming. Thing is, it's not necessarily going to be a linear path with that third eye chakra feeling like that. So that's why you need to especially pay attention to your dreams. Going to be a lot of messages in there that otherwise would be difficult to get to you in any other way, because you're not able to pick them up quite in the conscious realm at this point. There's something about this, about remaining comfortable in situations that are not necessarily brimming with comfort. Oh, got a couple of them came out there. So 3 of coins. I've got a couple of stacks. I think we're just going to start with the one that showed up first. So we have the Fool card. Okay, you're going to encounter the thing you're supposed to go ahead and pass on. So if you saw yesterday's reading, and this feels like an extended to yesterday's extended a little bit. If you know, a lot. So if you saw yesterday's reading, you saw where it said there may be something social that you decide not to go to because you decide that you would like to spend a little bit more time with yourself. You get kind of curled up in a warm blanket, you spend some time with yourself, you do a little meditation, you do a little bit of soul searching, go into what was ultimately your hermit cave, and Don't say yes to everything, because you're going to need some time in that hermit cave, and it's going to lead to some judgment, but reconciliation. This is a time where reconciliation is strong for you, um, which makes good sense with the Mercury retrograde being the way that it is, or being the timing that it is. There's a place here that you haven't invested in yourself, and it may make you feel like you need to be quick about making that investment, but I'm not given the sense here that you need to be quick about it. I get that you're going to figure out where maybe some investment is lacking, but don't feel like you have to jump on it, and time is of the essence. It's not necessarily like that. In fact, there's a delay to it. And things are going to get in the way for you. So if you've ever had one of those situations where you realize maybe today isn't the day to do something because everything seems to be working against you, it's got that feeling to it. Something that you're going to recognize you need to do. Don't get too bent out of shape about not being able to do it quickly, because there's a lot of obstacles may kind of jump into your path, and really it doesn't amount to much. It doesn't seem to. When you get it done, you're going to look back and say, yeah, it doesn't matter which day I did that. It's true. Okay, Ace of Wands. This is frustration more than anything else. So it's not necessarily you not moving forward with it. It's frustration because, okay, the reason that you were wanting to jump into action is because that's the day you had time to do it, or something like that. You are going to find another way around this, though. So the advice that comes out here is to not spend too much time frustrated, or that's an easy thing to say, but not always an easy thing to do. Just know it's all going to pan out just fine in the end. And so no need to spend too much energy on it in the meantime. Now, the Justice card in the reverse speaks a little bit to why the frustration. Same with the Temperance card. It's like feeling overwhelmed coming into something not going very well, and having awakened on the wrong side of the bed, and having things kind of falling out of balance and slipping out of your hand, and it's frustrating. It's a lot of frustration. So being told, like, don't freak out is not necessarily the best thing to say to somebody when they're being frustrated. But be aware on the front end, you're likely to feel this, and maybe try to be a little bit more patient with yourself when it happens, because even though you are aware that this is not necessarily going to be a big issue and that it will turn out fine, it is still a moment of frustration. You need to honor that. But I feel like you're going to be able to. With this Empress card, this is a matter of, this is like, if you're able to, you don't have to remember everything in your dreams. If you feel a certain way when you wake up, go with that. If you feel a certain way, go ahead and dig into it. You don't want to necessarily pick up your phone and start scrolling right away. It's about going ahead and digging into your emotions as you're waking up. So whether it's real dream memories coming through, like memory of the dreams coming through, or just here's how I feel upon waking up, look for the lessons, look for the memories or the messages that could be coming in through there. Also look for an opportunity for something to happen in your household. Seems like it's going to kind of set things off kilter a little bit, and maybe it does, but it actually kind of, it's like you're in a rut, and you have to be backed out of that a little bit so that you can open things up and now be able to flow a little bit better. There's something positive that happens, but it looks like a setback. It's not really much of a setback. It is one of those things that, again, you're going to look at it afterwards and say, oh, it would have been better had I not gotten so frustrated about this. Everything turned out fine. But we also recognize that sometimes that's easier said than done. And with the Queen of Wands, this is kind of the energy that gets you through. Like, even with this frustration, there's this side of you that's like, yeah, just move on. I get it. I'm frustrated. I don't like it either. But it's a very, how can I put this? Like a mature, grown-up way of looking at it, where you recognize things will be okay. And you're able to just kind of shepherd yourself through this. This is based on something that you've developed. So you may have been shepherding yourself through things for a long, long time at this point, especially that, given that some of you have had to, but this isn't that. This is you've done some inner child work and now you just feel comfortable with yourself. It's that feeling of I'm comfortable with myself. I do know things are going to be fine. Like, just go. You're going to be fine. And so but it's a very genuine one, a feeling of that, rather than I just have to because I have to. So let's see what else you need to know, what more you need to know about the dreams. So we already know at this point that they're coming in, messages are coming in through your dreams because you may not be able to, you might be a little bit blocked in the third eye chakra. You might be needing them to come in that way. Accelerated motion in the reverse. This is more that, and we had the Eight of Wands. This is like the Eight of Wands. This deck it's called the Psychic Tarot. It's not exactly like a traditional tarot, but it still does have the four elements. It still does have some of the same concepts. And this one feels like an Eight of Wands. Okay, it just feels like an Eight of Wands. And so here in the reverse, it feels like yesterday's Eight of Wands in the reverse that came out that said things were not necessarily, like the energy was not moving quickly. And it's okay. It's once again about sitting in, like with this Chariot, it's about sitting in an uncomfortable place and having to find some of your own comfort. You're fully capable of doing that, though. You're reaching the end of a cycle at this point. There is something very special about this time for you. Realizing that you're getting to a place where you are capable of standing on your own 2 feet a little bit more, kind of like what I was feeling with this Queen of Wands. This is a new place that you've come to where you're good at this. You're now getting very good at being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. You have at least thought it through. It's not just you sitting there constantly with this new raw pain all the time. When you feel pain, you're able to say, okay, I can identify this, might even be able to categorize it. And I also know that this will pass. Here's the thing, though. You may have some places where you could stand to, I don't want to say that you need to improve the way that you're looking at your own pain. That's not really what I want to get at. But there's something here that is a truth that it's time for you to take a look at, but that you've been giving yourself a little bit of a period of grace so that you don't have to deal with certain things. But at this point, they're standing in your way not to look at it. So it's time now. With the King of Coins in reverse, I see that as well. It's going to begin holding you back if you're not able to look at the big picture. And you are coming to the end of a cycle, whether you do that or not. So the next cycle that you move into, you may be dragging some baggage with you that you have the opportunity to let go of. That's essentially what this is. Reminds me of I think it was yesterday's reading where, we had the World card come out after a judgment in reverse. And so basically it was you have to pass judgment in order to get to the World card, that happy ending, that number 21. It's the 20 and the 21 in the major arcana. However, you pass judgment, but everything isn't necessarily perfect. Like, that's very realistic. Here, though, is an opportunity for you to pass judgment with something and to actually let something go, because you're going to be moving into a place where there's a partnership that arises for you, that it just would be easier to have some of these things behind you as you move into that partnership. This is you crossing into a new place because you because of having turned a corner emotionally. You've turned an emotional corner that that you really are going to be able to benefit from. However, depending on how well you do with this truth with yourself and truly allowing yourself to have the benefit of it and to let things go, you may or may not be taking some anxiety into this new world with you. So you're moving into a new cycle because you're wrapping up an old cycle. You're bringing a lot of positivity with you. You're ready for a union of some kind, whether it is with this person that you've been dealing with or whether this is with a new soulmate. You're ready for something new, but you've got to admit something to yourself, and it may be something very unconscious, so it may not be something that you're consciously keeping from yourself. Might just be you've learned something and you haven't quite realized how much you've learned it, and that's why you're being held in this place of a lack of accelerated motion while you figure it out. And so that's that same feeling of the Eight of Wands. Here's the Eight of Wands in the reverse again. So again, again, doubling down on that message. You're being held here so that you can take the opportunity to let some things go. So you have the ability to do this. That makes this a particularly good time to face these things. These are the messages that are coming out to you in these dreams. It's a good time to do this, but not necessarily a good time to tell you about it, because you have this kind of limited ability to handle it. But you have, no, you have a limited ability to receive the message in a way, but a great ability to handle it. So we see that with the Strength card. We see that with the Queen of Cups. We see that with the Two of Cups. We see that with this feeling of the Eight of Wands in the reverse, because that's a feeling of decelerated motion or not moving quickly, but it's because you've become better at treading water in a place that is uncomfortable and finding comfort in that. Now, with this Tower and with this third eye chakra in the reverse here, it's kind of giving me the sense that this it's reinforcing the message that this information is coming to you through dreams, because it is the best way for it to come to you right now. It's not easier to come to you via your meditation, although recognize that you will still probably have some messages that do. This Queen of Cups talks about your vulnerability. It talks about the ability for you to kind of let those things in, let those messages come in. But the Tower is about where it's difficult. So it's not a simple thing. You are better able to handle it once the truth creeps in and gets past whatever it is that you usually use to keep it out or to keep it at bay. It's not new truth. It's just, I haven't dealt with this yet. I'm not ready. So something in there needs to be dealt with so that you can move forward. But in the meantime, it's going to be causing you some consternation. Once you get through, so this Tower that doesn't want to fall, once you get through it, that Queen of Cups assures us you are going to be prepared to handle it. Does feel like it throws you off kilter a little bit to have the new truths. I feel like the new truths are coming both from your dreams and potentially coming in through your person at this point. So that felt really specific and a little bit strange, but it's kind of this sense of this is where you, in the scenario that you hear from someone you haven't heard from in a long time, all of a sudden those messages that come through as a result of that, and may not be so much the things that they're saying, it means a lot to you, and it starts to be a lot for you to work through, so it's not that you're holding off on whatever this opportunity here is that you have to learn before you really finish up this cycle and start a new one. It's not so much that you are refusing to take in new information. This Tower hasn't fallen because it's like you have to get to a point where you can sort through it. There's a lot coming in. And you've got this Eight of Cups okay, so that is honoring a message that you have received many times about needing to understand what it is that truly makes you happy. And it can't be as simple as, I want someone to come back and that will make me happy. It's going to be more than just that. It's going to be overall, what does the big picture look like? Maybe reunion with this person is that thing that kind of is the cherry on top, but it won't be the full picture. So looking at the full picture and being able to really understand that. There's also this feeling of your self-worth. You've been building your self-worth, okay? So that's something that's been coming to you. It's been increasing. And here it's a matter of being able to kind of use what you've learned there in conjunction with some other lessons to banish some ancient pains that have been plaguing you most of your life, if not all of it. This is either going to be pains that came to you as experiences in your early childhood, or they were brought in ancestrally and then kind of taught to you in the form of values, or brought to you in the form of some type of abuse. These are places where this continues to be passed on down through the generations until somebody takes it and deals with it. And this is you taking some of this and dealing with it, but not just that, actually recognizing it. And so that's part of what's coming in through these dreams. So let's now take a look at, practically speaking, what you can be doing about that or doing with this information. Because there's a lot of you saying, sitting back and just kind of absorbing it, not scrolling on your phone first thing in the morning, letting the dream sink in, letting whatever it told you sink in, because sometimes it's not the dream itself and you won't have memories of the dream specifically, but you'll feel, you'll be in a mood when you wake up, and that's what you want to dig into and just kind of understand. There are going to be messages in that. Patience card in the reverse. It's kind of like the Temperance card. Balance card in the upright. And that one is, okay, because this one's like the Justice card. You're finding balance right now, and you're encouraged to continue with that. However, recognize that you may not feel super balanced in that process. You might constantly be saying, I don't know which way is up, and I still need to learn how to calm down. I need to learn how to back away from this cliff that makes me feel like I'm going to be overwhelmed, This time of year, we talked about it in the Mercury retrograde reading, and I bet we see it again in tomorrow's December refresh reading. But there was that sense of overwhelm, that sense of getting burned out, and this time of year, that's a very common thing to have happen. But suffering in silence in the reverse, this is like that equivalent of, well, it's about being able to communicate what is, instead of just being anxious, like the Nine of Swords, you've got the ability to be able to communicate what's happening and to have some partners in this process. That's kind of a corner that you're going to want to turn, but it's takes a very specific form here. This is being able to talk to someone in particular or about something. It's about vulnerabilities coming out. It's about seeing something that is a gift that comes your direction and actually knowing what to do with it when it gets there. But be warned, with it coming out in the reverse, it may not be so simple to figure out. You may be just like your person, in that you see something that seems too good to be true and you aren't quite sure how to respond to it in the context in which it arrives. With the Knight of Coins, though, it's a reminder that just like we saw with the Seven of Coins in the reverse over here, you're going to see needs, you're going to see gaps, but you don't have to hurry to fill them. As you look through the things that are overwhelming you and kind of wanting to make your life a little bit challenging right now, do yourself a favor and figure out the priority on these things, because you're going to have some things that don't have to be done right away, and there's no need to rush. You've got the Eight of Swords in the reverse, which is essentially that. It's not rushing. It's not overthinking. It's not putting yourself into a complicated place. The sun gets to come out for you, okay? So this is the Sun card. We often hear it termed as the happiest card in the deck. It's a very personal happiness that's happening inside of you. It's glimmers inside of you that kind of will reflect out to the rest of the world, but this is very personal. I get that in here somewhere, and somebody, may be able to explain situations where it's already happened, because I think this is already happening. There's something that happens that makes you very happy, and you don't have to share it with anybody. You're much more capable of being vulnerable, but there are some things that you decide to keep for yourself. Knight of Cups, and it doesn't feel selfish. It just feels like, yes, this is something that only you would truly understand, and you're going to keep it to yourself, and it's going to be the right thing. With the Knight of Cups, I guess it goes hand in hand with that feeling of keeping it to yourself a little bit. There is something that you would ordinarily have thought to communicate, and that in this energy, you're going to go ahead and choose not to communicate. But the thing that you want to be careful about is that you're doing that for the right reasons, not because of a feeling of shame. When you feel the shame, go ahead and dig into that and figure out, well, what is it that would keep me shameful instead of vulnerable? What's the worst that could happen? You'll also find with this Page of Wands energy, there is that desire to It's a bouncing back kind of feeling where there has been some depression in the energy before. This is part of what's going to help both you and your person bounce back. And remember, when one of you can feel that depression, the other one's going to be a little bit weighed down by it as well. So sometimes when you feel it, it's not necessarily coming from you specifically. It's coming more from them. There is a need to honor it when you feel like you need to sit back. We've gotten that message so many times in the last couple of days. It's kind of unbelievable. And we've also gotten in the yesterday's message was all wrapped around this. What is it that is a transformation that's not being allowed to happen? And honestly, I felt it over here in this as well. There's a transformation that's not being allowed to happen, but we know it's partially this King of Coins in the reverse, because we saw it in yesterday's reading kind of come out multiple times, that it's that sense of not just deserving, not like an entitlement sort of way, but realizing that you have earned and worked for something, and that if you were to look at it with anyone else in that situation, you would say, why, yes, this is someone who's earned whatever this change is. In your situation, it's about giving that to yourself and recognizing without shame that you do also deserve whatever this is. And sometimes it's just going to be that allowing yourself to move toward happiness and to hold it in your own heart without having to justify it or tell anyone what's going on there. So this is all very personal. There's a lot that happens here that kind of may go into your personal journal, may kind of, it enables you to move forward in a more graceful way and to work through some of what's happening in this Mercury retrograde energy. So hopefully this dream, what's happening in these dreams can kind of help you along through that. So I think tomorrow we get in and we do the December monthly refresh. And so I look forward to seeing you in there tomorrow.